Yo, 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 it's your boy Bobby Frost, and Bobby Frost Media presents Triparency. Today, I'm solo dolo. No beautiful ladies, and my co-host, they had this Christmas off. You know, holidays, they got the holiday break. They got a lot going on being ladies, so you know they do a lot of rapping and shopping and gifts and stuff like that. So they've been on. So today, being the last episode of the year, and I'm solo dolo, instead of just going with a topic, I went and checked my DMs and just looked at some of the questions that I got. And I'm going to talk about the questions and spend on, give out some answers. One of the first questions I got was, and I got this multiple times, is what made me start a podcast? So for the people who know me, I have been talking about starting a podcast for a minute. It's been a good minute. I'm talking about a couple of years. I wish I would have done it before COVID hit, because that to me was, and all the information I got researching before I even started this one, that's when a lot of podcasts took off, because people had so much time just to sit back and listen, you know, because we were shut down, which is crazy, but you know, we were shut down. But I wanted to start one back in like 2017, really. That's when the first time it popped up to me. My first one I was going to do was going to be, I was an avid gamer, so it was going to be on 2K. I played a lot of 2K for years. This is like the first year, and I haven't really been super heavy. This, and I want to say 2021, I wasn't heavy in it. But outside them years, like, man, been heavy. I done went to tournaments down, and the Dallas Mavericks had a tournament back in, I want to say that was 19. Went to that, came in the championship round, lost. So took a drive from all the way from here, picked up a couple of my teammates. Shout outs to my dog Seaway and Pac, picked them up from Detroit, grabbed my little homie from Grand Rapids, and shot all the way down to Dallas and did that. But I say that was my first podcast I was going to do. And I asked a couple people, and long story short, and they get done. And that's usually how it always go with the podcast. I had hit a couple other people up. I was going to do a hip-hop podcast, which I'm still in the works about thinking about doing that. And then I was going to do a podcast on where I work at in the Juvenile Detention Center. I was going to do one just like very informative about the inner workings of Juvenile Detention Center, because I done work for two different places. I done work for a detention center and a detention placement. Then, you know, I fell through. A couple people asked about doing that, wasn't doing it. And then my last one was going to be just on failures, because a lot of people like to tell you the end results of their journeys, but it was going to be failures. And so for me, I just wanted to do it because I like podcasts. I've been listening to podcasts for a while. I remember one of my jobs had me driving about 45 minutes to get there. And that's what I did, just listen to podcasts. And it's like, man, you know, I do a lot of just kicking it with my fellas, kicking at the barbershop, kicking, you know, water talk. I'm like, dang, I think I'm interested enough to, you know, carry a conversation and do a podcast. But I never really want to do a solo one. I want to always have a co-host and bounce ideas off of them. So trying to find somebody that was going to be able to, you know, stick to the regiment, the schedule coming up here, that was the hard part. And that's why I didn't do it. But to answer the question all the way, that's what it was. I just had a couple of things I wanted to do a podcast on, you know what I'm saying? Things I wanted to talk about. You know, I think just having that dialogue. And it's kind of therapeutic too on certain, you know, topics and situations. So that's why I wanted to start. The next one I got is, how do you start a podcast? I get that a lot. Really, man, you can do it any way you want to do to start a podcast. To be honest, like any way you want to really go do a podcast, you can. You can spend your money on different equipment. It's like anything else. I tell people, like a hobby. It's like anything else. The more you mess around with mixing boards, mics, headphones, etc., all that stuff, you're going to end up getting different ones anyway, because you're going to see how this work, how this sound, how this don't sound, how this compare to this. And then you're going to keep going if you're serious about it or you like, you know, what you're doing with it. And the other thing is really just recording. You can record with your phone. You can record with your laptop. You can go just get a mic. Really all you need to do is record and be able to save it on an SD chip, you know, or a USB drive, and that's really all you need. And once you get that going, you find out what companies you want to host your podcast, meaning where your podcast go to, like your data, your podcast, where it go to when you say your stuff. And that's really it to it. One of the biggest things I can tell people, like, to get your podcast really rolling and going from all the research I've done, is really the video aspect, which is not even a podcast. A lot of people don't know that. Once you put the video aspect to it, it's not a podcast no more. The podcast literally really is just, that's what the word comes from if you look it up. Podcast really is just the audio form. A lot of people don't know that, but that's what it is. It's the audio form. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand that. But once you be able to get a video, it's to me, and that's what I'm working on doing now, got a camera, but the biggest thing about it is you got to have somebody to shoot if you really want to look nice. But that's what it is. Even the definition of a podcast: a digital audio file made available on the internet for downloading to a computer or a mobile device, typically available as a series, new installments of which can be received by subscribers automatically. So that's why I tell people, a lot of people don't know it's really a digital audio file. It's audio. That's a podcast. Once you take it off and add the video to it, it's not really a podcast no more. It's something else. But yeah, that's all you got to do. You can find, podcast hosting. You can go to Podbean, Buzzsprout. What's the other one, man? I'm trying to think of the name of them joints. Oh man, what's the other one? It's with Spotify. I gotta look it up. You know what I'm saying? Help you all out with that. Bear with me for a quick minute. I'm gonna tell you exactly what the ones you can go look at. Oh yeah, you can look at Spreaker, which is not speaker, but Spreaker. Spreaker, Red Circle, Buzzsprout, like I said, Podbean. Them some of it, like them just the spots you go to where you can have your podcast distributed for you, and then you start paying from there. And that's really with the podcast, Best thing I tell you with the podcast and to get it going, and of course mine ain't where I wanted to be, but it's getting there, but I do a lot of research. One of the biggest things you want to do is figure out your niche. And if you YouTube it, anybody that's listening at YouTube and Googled it, it's your niche. You find your niche. And like I tell people all the time, your niche could be, I didn't listen to podcasts about left-handers, literally about left-handers. They just, talk about they day-to-day in left hand, being lefties. And you got to think how many left-handed people go through life in which they had a instrument that was for their left hand, had a controller that was for their left hand, had, things like that. So they listen to it. You know what I'm saying? They compare and contrast to the host, what they going through life at left hand. It's all type podcasts. You really want to find your niche. The top podcast niche or topic is crime, true crime. It's a lot of people that do podcasts, and the top ones would be about true crime. It's like either they do series like fictional or non-fictional crime stories. A lot of them be like they research like unsolved mysteries or top serial killers and things like that. Or they can do the one where it's fiction, where they just make stories up, like that. Them the top ones. I think the number one podcast, if I'm mistaken, is Joe Rogan's. So yeah, when you get into a podcast, find your niche. That's the question. How to start a podcast. That's it, man. Your equipment, depending on how crisp you want your voice and how you want your stuff to sound, that's that. But you don't have to start off like that. That was one of my biggest problems too, starting off. I was just wanting to be a perfectionist with it, and it made me stall. But yeah, you ain't got to do that. Just action. That's the best thing I think. Just start. You'll figure out as you go. Keep researching, doing that stuff. You'll figure out as you go. That's the best way I can tell you to do it. You'll figure out as you go. That's for sure. Let me read through the other questions I got. Now, this is a crazy question that asks me, let me read the question actually, not, paraphrase it for you. Let me read it. How do you work with two hosts that look nice? That's how it was sent to me. Cool. I mean, my co-hosts are attractive and from that nature, but I had been knowing them way before the show, so it wasn't no big thing for me to be like, oh, let me holler at them. And that's just something I don't like doing anyways. If you at working with somebody, you don't want to ever cross them lines or nothing like that. That's for me. I can't speak for nobody else. You don't ever want to cross them lines. Like that makes stuff muddy, and then you can put in feelings with business. That'll get you cooked. Plus, I wasn't trying to get my head knocked between the drawers when I went home either. So you got that too. So yeah, I don't mix with like that. Nah, that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for nobody else. I ain't never really been too much. What's the saying called? You don't you don't shit where you lay or something like that. Meaning you don't fraternize where you work at. That can always end up going left very quick, like very quickly. That's how it is. I got another one I'm reading. What's up, bro? How do you come up with topics? I come up with topics with the ease. Me coming up with topics really be, you do the pre-production meeting, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of the topics sometimes be what's going on in mainstream. Like some stuff you couldn't avoid, like the P. Diddy situation, like you couldn't avoid that. That was trending. So a lot of stuff be trending. And for me to find the most trend, where stuff's trending at the most it's called X, formerly known as Twitter. That's where, you see everything trending at. And that's where I got a lot of my stuff from. Some stuff, you just think about life experience and stuff like that, but some you just can't avoid. You know what I'm saying? Just like right now, probably one of our next episode for us topic gonna be the Flint baddies. Like that's trending in Flint. You know what I'm saying? I gotta research it because when I do get on social medias, I don't really check out a lot of I call it fluff. For me, that's fluff, like a lot of stuff like that. I don't look at it. Not saying it in a mean way or disrespectful. I just look at it like, yeah, that's not what I be on social media on. But yeah, that's been trending big. So I'm going to have to go do some research. And that's how you get a topic. Usually that's how I go. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to call it. That's how you usually go. You know what I'm saying? You just sit back and you see what's trending and you go from there. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would do it. Another question I got. How much money do you be making from your podcast? That again, it all depends. It literally all depends on how much money you're gonna make. And I say that because that's the truth. Where your most money come from is the more downloads you get. Same as YouTube. I'm gonna research it while I'm on here. I forgot. I know for YouTube for sure how much money you make. Let me look it up real quick. YouTube money per view. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Money per view. Was going through it. So how many views equal $1? It say to earn $1 on YouTube, you need anywhere between 6,000 to 25,000 views to earn your first $100. 250,000 and 450,000 views to earn your first 1,000, and then a million between 1.5 million views to earn 4,000. So the average CPM is about $3 to $4. YouTube takes a 45% cut, and sometimes YouTuber has multi-channel networks representations who can get about 45%. This means that your YouTuber in the end will make one per CPM of 1,000 per million views. So it's like that. You make money per views because that's if you put your podcast on YouTube. If without the YouTube, it's gonna really come down to your sponsors. The more sponsors you get, the more money you can make, and then you can start negotiating with your sponsors. So that's how that go. You can get the negotiating with your sponsors. You know what I'm saying? You can go in there and say your per episode you getting just throw a number out there. Say you getting 3,000 views per episode. And you might have a sponsor come to you and say your niche was talking about DIYs, do it yourself, improvement, home improvement. You might have a local hardware store come holler at you. You might have an online hardware store come and holler at you. You might have a wrench company, a screwdriver company, some in, home improvement to come holler at you. And you go to them and y'all sit back down, y'all chop it up, and it's going to go through like, yeah, well, again, I'm getting 3,000, 5,000 per episode. I do episodes every week. So that's 4 episodes per month. 4 times 5 is 20. So potentially you getting 20,000 views, downloads rather, my bad, downloads per month. And you can go there and you can negotiate per month. You can do per week. You can do downloads. And the one thing I've researched and figured out about all that too by doing this is the farther complicated the math get, the more you're gonna have issues with your pay, your ducats, your coins, your funds. You might come in and just be like, hey, like I said, I get 20K per month because I do 5K downloads per episode. I do 4 episodes per month because I do them per weekly. And you might say, hey, you have to pay me to shout out your, screwdriver company per month because I'm getting 20K views per month. You're going to pay me $500. There you have it. You're getting $500. So now when it started getting technical, per download, per this and per that, the more complex it get, the more you're going to start figuring out the loopholes and how stuff go, because just because the download go for this system don't mean it's going to look the same on this system. Then you start having same thing with downloads and listens. Like per listens and downloads are 2 different things too. So you can start going with listens, and that where it can get tricky at, because a listen is just soon as somebody hits your episode, your podcast. Now you have to go into your staying power. How long does somebody stay? Because that company will come and, use that against you right there. Oh, well, how long do they stay? They might not stay long enough to even hear when you do my commercial, do the ad. So it'd be things of that nature too. You know what I'm saying? That's something I would tell people to check that out and get to that. But that's how you make your money. Your money come with how many views and how you negotiate with your sponsor. The more sponsors you get, that's where your money come at. If any of y'all listen to other podcasts, the bigger podcasts, you always going to hear them do their commercials, their ads. That's where your money coming at. That's what entertainment, that's where money come at anyways. Podcasts another form of entertainment. That's where it comes from. Your sponsor, because people going to pay to get their product out to a potential buyer, potential consumers. They're going to come out and do that. That's where it comes from. Like a good comparison is the Super Bowl. If you ever notice how much money it costs per second or per minute to have a Super Bowl commercial, that's where the Super Bowl is making their money, or not the Super Bowl, the network and the Super Bowl is making their money from is them commercials. That's where the real money come in at. That's where it is. So that's how you do it. I always tell people, when you start a podcast, unless you got a super dope following, meaning you already got a lot of people that just follow you no matter what you do, you don't want to even come in with the podcast thinking you're gonna make a lot of money starting off. That's not, in my opinion, in my experience, that's not how it's gonna work. All the research, myself, experience, all the research I've done, that's how it is. You just have to stick with it. And that's why a lot of podcasts fail. I'm going to give y'all the percentage of how many podcasts fail per, per year. Podcast success rate. Let's put that in. We're going to figure out that is. I used to know that by heart. I think it's like 90% don't. 90% fail. But we're gonna look that up. A real quick podcast. It's showing me a couple different things. But here you go right here. Yeah, they say. Yep, what I said. That's what I just said. 90% of them fail. This from one thing. I'm gonna look up another one. I'm gonna look at another one because that's what I had already realized. I'm gonna check another one out. Okay, I'd be kind of scared to put up people like that websites and stuff because I don't know how that works. Okay, here go another one. I'm going to say the name anyways. This is comealivecreativity.com. Less than 20% of podcasts that have launched this year will make it to next year. So that's 80% of the podcasts that started this year won't be in 2024. According to many in the business, most podcasts that fade die out as early as a 7th episode. Research indicates that the pod fading rate is as high as 50% among new podcasts. Not again, 90% of podcasts don't publish more than 3 episodes. So I guess, that's why I ain't checked nothing else. So I seen like that's the rule of thumb, I guess. Everywhere I'm looking is 90% or 80%. And one other thing is saying it's important to note that there are many factors that can contribute to the success or failure of a podcast. Some common pitfalls include poor planning, lack of consistency, and failure to engage listeners. If you're thinking of starting a podcast, it's a good idea to do your research and plan ahead to avoid these common mistakes. So yeah, that lets you know how hard it is to go. So a lot of people think coming straight into a podcast that they so interesting and dope and stuff like that, they're gonna make a lot of money. It don't work like that because it's a lot of podcasts out there. You have a lot of competition. You don't really want to measure yourself up to them, but just knowing it's a lot, So that's one of the things I say. So when it comes to making your money, just don't think unless you got, again, a big, large following going already. And when I say large, 10K ain't enough. You probably need like 100K following you already. Engage, really inactive, like engaging. You know what I'm saying? And let me change that up too. This is going into something else. This is a topic I wouldn't do with the girls per se, but I talk to the homies about it and other people on forums and stuff like that. There's a difference between followers and supporters. Followers are just somebody that follow your page on social media. Cool. A supporter is somebody who's engaging. You know what I'm saying? They really rocking with you. So 500, that's why I say 100K followers. If you had 10% of your followers that are supporters and you got 100K following, that's 10,000 people that's going to support. You got 10,000 listeners. That's going to be loyal. That's enough money to come straight in making good money where unless you got a high-end 5-figure job or, a 6-figure job, you don't even have to work that no more. If you got 10K, listeners and downloads per episode, yeah, you in there. That's big. So you'll see money straight off the bat. That's why you can see a lot of athletes. You see a lot of entertainers do podcasts because they have a big following, but they also have a strong enough support group. So that's the thing. So when you're looking at it, marketing, stuff like that, that's something else I learned. You look at it, say you did a podcast on Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was your podcast. You look at the world, 7 billion people in the world. How many people you think interested in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? If you say, let's throw out 1 million people are interested in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 10% of that would be 100,000. Okay, so what would be 10% of 100,000? 10,000? So I'm basically saying if you can grab 1% out of 1 million, think of how many viewers you're going to have. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the real. That's how you can look at it. And that's where your money will come in. Literally, that's where your cash going to come in at. So you have to really break it down like that. What your niche is, what your topic is, and try to get 1% of it. 1% of 1 million is 10,000. 10,000 is the lucky number. That's the number you want to be at. You get that and you go with that. So you can get 10,000 people that want to listen to you talk about whatever you is going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There go your money. That's the goal. That's my number one goal I'm going right now. I need to get to 10. When I get to 10K downloads and listens, yeah, then, you might be able to change me from Bobby Frost to Hollywood Bobby. No, I'm just playing, but no, that's it. That's the money, how your money go. If you need any more thing, anybody, you can hit me up. Any information I got for anybody that's starting a podcast or doing a podcast, hit me up. I'll let you know. Let me go through some more. I got about 3 more. Nope, 5. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all 5. I'll go on. How do you get guests? Well, Misty does a lot of the guests. I give her that. That's my big dog. We bump heads a lot, but that's where she really excels at with the show. She gets a lot of the guests. She get a lot of interesting guests. A way I get guests, and I don't bring them all along, and I'm gonna start next coming up in 2024. Misty get a lot of guests. How I get my guests is I interact with a lot of forums. A lot of my guests don't be guests I be knowing per se, well, or be in front of. A lot of my guests they come from other places. I find them in forums and other tools that I use to get guests. Like I got a couple podcasts that want me to come on. I just ain't really done it yet, but I'm gonna get on there and we gonna swap. It's called cross promoting. Yep. That's how I get my guests. Some people, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's in the field or the niche that you're doing. And usually you want your guests to be in line with that. You want your guests to be in line with your product you pushing, what it is. You could be cooking from scratch. Well, you don't want your podcast guest to be, let's say, a basketball trainer. Unless this basketball trainer can cook his ass or she can cook her ass off, it don't make sense to bring that guest on. It's not going to engage your fans. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And with all these questions I'm getting, again, I'm not no guru of a podcast. I just started. I'm going on a year in February. Did a lot of research before I started, and I'm doing now. I'm just sharing with y'all with the questions y'all asking me and getting to the point where I'm learning a little bit more. That's the best I can say. I'm learning a little bit more about the podcast industry and the podcast game. I would consider myself still wet behind the ears and a super duper rookie. You know what I'm saying? For the Dickie V's fans out there, y'all know I'm trying to be a diaper dandy. So yeah, I'm still a rookie. I can just help people out. That's one of the biggest things I knew starting a podcast was I didn't have nobody that I could go talk to about starting a podcast. So anybody starting, well, just come holler at me. I'm not the type of guy that's going to be, oh man, somebody else starting a podcast, and do any resources I can give you or help you with, I'm going to help. So I'm not that guy. So just hit me up. That's why I'm answering these on the DMs. I had a lot of other different ideas to do with this one, but this is the way I went when I said, let me check these out. Let me check these out, see how this go. You know what I'm saying? Check these out. And, it's all interesting questions. A lot of these questions I already answered with the person, but I'm going to come on here and say what I said to them, and go from there. Yeah. Let me check another one out. Yo, bro, what's up? I love your podcast. What's the hardest thing about doing a podcast? For me, it's different for everybody, but I'm going to tell you, for me, the hardest thing I had about doing a podcast, and this is the life, is building a good team. That's the hardest thing I had about a podcast. That's what took me so long. Building a good team, and it's hard to get that. Once you start talking about the ideas of podcasts and ideas of anything, talk is great. One of the biggest things that I learned, and it's the saying, you're not in it until your money in it. You know what I'm saying? Once you get to that point, somebody really invested. And even them times, some people still don't value their money like that. They'll put their money in and still be not really invested. But usually when the money get in, that's when, a person invests. Because most people, the average person, don't want to blow money. So when they put their money in, then they really invested. That's when you're really starting to build a team, when they put money in. Talk is cheap, unless, you're doing a podcast. No, I'm just playing, but no, really talk, real talk. Talk is cheap. Time and money. Starting off is money. Once you start getting larger, it's time. But starting off is money. Building a good team, like I said with the cameraman, that's the biggest thing I was asked. Like, that's one of the questions I didn't answer, but I guess I answer it anyways. But they be wanting to know where the video. I get that so much. Where the video. Well, I'm a perfectionist for the most part, and I don't be want to just use, it's like, I could use my laptop, I could use my iPod. I mean, not my iPod, I don't know why I said that, but I could use my iPhone. I got a camera. But if you don't have a cameraman, you can't really catch all the expressions and the angles you need to. If I just set it up one way, then to me, I feel like it's not good quality. And me and my co-host Misty go back and forth about that all the time. She'd be like, just do it. And I like that she got that in her. She's all about action, and you need that. But that'd be one of the things. And it's like, again, building a team. Finding somebody that's going to get on and going to come shoot, and don't be thinking they about to be getting paid crazy to come shoot when we just starting off. You got to see the bigger part of the vision. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have to work. Building a team. That's the hardest thing I have from podcasts. Like I told you, that's why I would have been started a podcast back in 2017. You have to have a good team. If you got a good team, it makes stuff easier. You know, it makes stuff flow better if your team good. You know, and that's what's been my biggest problem about is finding a team, a good team. You know, so I'm still in the building my team as we speak. Getting a good team is, to me, the biggest thing it is about podcasts for me. And like I said, about any project, any business venture, you know, good team. Getting people in the spots they need to get to, getting people who really down for it, who ain't just talking, people really giving their 110%, giving they all, doing what you got to do. That's the biggest thing to me and with the podcast. Like, finding topics not hard. For me, I can't speak for some people, because some people I don't talk to, I don't even have to ask them to come on and be guests. They not really comfortable once you hit that record button. You hit that red dot, they not comfortable with that. They're not comfortable behind the mic. They're not comfortable behind the camera lens. That's not been my problem. That'll never be my problem. But getting people who are going to be able to commit and sacrifice and see the bigger vision and really work towards it is my biggest problem. I've always been. I'm building my team now, so stronger my team gets, you know, the better the podcast going to be, the better the promotion going to be, the better everything going to be. So I got a media company, you know, Bobby Frost Media, and that's, even with that media company, you know, I'm looking for people who want to get down with it and really want to lock in with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back to school now, you know, to knock my stuff out and take some classes in them areas to get better and network and try to find a bigger team. You know what I'm saying? Well, not a bigger team, but a better team. And about how big it is how much your team putting the effort in, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. It ain't about quantity, it's about quality. So that's how I look at it. And I have a lot of fun doing it. That's the other thing. Like, I have fun just doing it. You know, one of my biggest things about the podcast, if you ask, that's it, building a team. The other thing I can say is, for me, is promoting. Yep, that's the other one. That's another one, promoting. I'm not the type of guy that like to really just be like in people face heavy like that. So I had to get off my comfort zone, passing out our cards, talking to people, asking people to come on as guests, asking people to tune in to the podcast. I just don't like it. I used to feel like that was begging. And that's, you know, that's just me. I'm getting out of there more and more. Like when I go out to the bars or the club or just out period, just talking to people and then getting them, you know, hey, my name Bobby Frost. Hey, I got a podcast. This is what the podcast is about. You know, hey, take this out. If you mind giving me a listen, you know, a comment, subscribe, and let me know how it is and feedback. That's my biggest thing, you know. And one of the things I've been working with, and I've been telling, you know, people around me that really fucks with me and I fucks with them, is getting used to the word no. Getting comfortable with the word no. Meaning being able to accept no and say no to others. That's the thing, another thing I've been getting comfortable with right there too. Saying no, being comfortable with hearing no. You know what I'm saying? That's another reason why I had to get used to promoting, because, you know, somebody say no, or I feel like they bullshit me with saying like they really want to fuck with me. I wasn't comfortable with that. But I'm getting comfortable with it. You know, I look at it like this. If I ask 100 people to tune into the show and I get one That's one listener. I mean, I got to go ask 1,000, I get 10 listeners. Got to ask 100,000, I get 100 listeners. And just look at it like that. You know, not comparing my success rate so far right now. I'm just starting off, so you're going to got to get comfortable with those. That's it. That's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times I ask guests to come on, and they're the ones, you know, I know, they'll flake out. And to me, that's a no. Got to get comfortable with it. Still got to ask, you know, go to. That's it. That's them the two things about the hardest things about podcasts for me. Building a team and promoting. Like even with social media, I had to get used to. I went on social media really for laughs. That's all I've ever been on social media for was laughs. Literally. And promoting now. To the point where, again, I gotta hop in DMs and inboxes and send my links and stuff like that. And I built a Facebook page. I'm working on my website. Yeah, just that, you know, promoting again, just getting out of my comfort zone, being more outgoing. That's why, you know, our last episode we did was the first part was about club promoting, and that's why I was so interested. I was probably more our good topics on our show. I get more interested in it than probably the viewers when I'm learning something, because I try to make every episode educational, you know, give you information about it. Informational, you know what I'm saying, episodes. And yeah, like seeing promoters be able to go in there and try to promote and be on Facebook and back in the day giving out flyers and stuff, knowing somebody might throw that flyer right down in front of them and walk off and throw it down, but they still did it, getting used to that. That's the no part I was saying. Yeah, like that's getting comfortable with that. That's big. That's big and bad. But yeah. So that's how I look at it for sure. Go ahead and just do it. So them my two biggest ones. Let me check out a couple more, because that's, like I said, that's going back in circle, but one of them, well, not one of them, I had this a couple times, but it was, why don't you, when is you dropping the video? Yo, bro, when y'all gonna get the video going? I'm trying to see the ladies. Hey, when y'all dropping YouTube videos? I done got them like 20 times so far. And that's why. You know, reiterate it again. I want to have a good cameraman. And I'm willing to pay. I'm not about to pay out the craziness for it, you know what I'm saying? But a good cameraman, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather get a cameraman, not a freelancer, somebody with the team. I really don't want to do freelancers, because a freelancer mean that they might do an episode here and there or whatever, but then when, you know, they got another gig or something going in, that, you know, you have to get a different cameraman. I want the same quality all the time. Of course, I want the quality to get better, but I don't want the quality changing up all the time. I want the same, you know what you're getting. When you're giving transparency, you know what your mic, you know, our voice is going to sound like. It's not going to be changing. We're using the same mics. When it comes to the camera, man, I want the same angle, same shots. So that's why I did it. But you know what my co-host Missy tell me all the time, we probably just gonna start. I threw a couple out there, and again, it was just off like my laptop. And I didn't like it, how it looked it, but you know, some people said they liked it. I didn't like how it looked it. But yeah, I'm just gonna do what my homegirl Missy said, man, just gonna go just throw them out there and go from there. That's gonna be that. So yeah, I got, like I said, the other question I got is around the same stuff. I done had some other question that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all the one question, you know, somebody asked me, how's it working with, you know what I'm saying, nice looking co-host. It's some other one that was crazy. Like, did you fuck him? I'm like, for some reason, people swear up and down like me and Misty's fucking. I'm like, nah. I'd be like crazy. I always get that from people like in my DMs, but more so like just out and about. Man, bro, I know you fucking one of them, bro. You got to be fucking one. I'm like, nah. That's crazy. Like, nah. And the number one be Misty. I'm like, man, I see y'all like Misty a lot. That's what I'm taking from it. Y'all like Misty a lot, because, nah, she'll tell you, ain't never made a comment to her in my life about nothing like that. Nah, nice looking lady, for sure. She bad, but nah, I just never did it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, man. This is the last episode of the year. You know, happy holidays. I'm hoping everybody have a great Christmas, a good New Year's. And if y'all got some nice New Year's parties, man, let me know. I ain't talking about just have me come. I mean, nice one. Ain't going to be a lot of bullshit. The music going to be decent. I'm going to be able to get out there and have some fun. like that. Yeah, because I ain't got really nothing popping for the New Year's. You know what I'm saying? Not really, nothing really popping for New Year's. And yeah, be real on the lookout, man. We got another little bit, almost 2 months. We gonna have the 1 year transparency anniversary. And we're gonna be at the Row House, more than likely. And we're gonna have a couple of recurring guests on a panel, and we might have some special guests come in. And we just gonna be a live, show. Sit back, check out the Facebook page. I'm gonna have the Facebook and the YouTube running simultaneously, answer some questions and stuff like that. So yeah, that's good. See, man, yeah, when y'all out there, y'all stay safe, man. Y'all know how to drive and stuff be, man, when it's holiday time. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? Stay good out there, man. And I appreciate all the listeners and views. Seriously, when I say that, I appreciate it because I feel like podcasts are real intimate, meaning how I look at podcasts. My favorite podcast, I feel like I'm sitting in the room with them. And I'm hoping that our podcast feel like that to y'all. That's why I say it's intimate. You listening to us, and I always felt like I'm right in the room with my favorite podcasters. And I'm hoping y'all getting the same type of vibe, like y'all feel like y'all right in the room with me. And Courtney Lynn and Just Missed. That's what I'm hoping, and our guests. So yeah, I appreciate it all, man. When I say I appreciate y'all fucking with it, all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, the follows on social medias, all that. Like, yeah, I appreciate it, man. I be telling y'all that just really because I be wanting to get feedback to make the show better. But yeah, man, keep hopping in DMs. If you ain't been in the DMs, hop in either one of our DMs. You got Just Misty. That's her tag. You got Courtney Lynn, Courtney Milan. I think that's on IG. Want to say IG? Yeah, I have to look it up. Let me look it up. I ain't gonna do my co-host like that. 1 second, y'all, because they ain't here to throw out their tags. So let me look them up so I can throw out their tags. 1 second. Yes, sir. But it's Bobby Frost Media on all social medias. That's for sure. Bobby Frost Media on all social media. It's Just Misty _ JUS_NYSTIE on Snap. And I want to say it's on Instagram. We're going to find out right now. I know it's a shame that I don't know theirs by heart. And I apologize. But I ain't going to leave them hanging. I do not know their joints by heart. Let me check out Misty. I think it is on IG. It's Just Misty, JUSMYSTIE. And it's Misty Summers on Facebook. And let me go check out Courtney's. Courtney Milan, that's COURTNEYMERLON. And let me go on Snap 1 second. Let me see what Courtney's on Snap. It's Courtney KORT-NEE. Let me go to their TikToks. And I told them like they need to been telling man, or really Courtney, she need to streamline, you know what I'm saying, this shit, man. Just make it all one. You know what I'm saying? I've been telling her because this boy trying to Courtney Dixon 10 on Snap. Let me check Misty's out here. Like, just streamline that mug. All this damn shit. And it's Just Misty, so it's Just Misty. Yep, Just Misty at on Snap. JUSNYSTIA or JUS_NYSTIE. And mine's Bobby Frost Media on all social media. You can check us out on Transparency on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. I'm going to upload some clips and little reels all today too. So be on the lookout for that. About to do a lot of that. So yeah, that's it, man. So I appreciate it again. Like I said, the same call to action. Hey, man, go drop a like, drop a follow, drop a comments, hop in the DMs, be a subscriber, be a supporter. I appreciate all of it. So y'all have a good, happy holidays. And that's it for 2023. Catch y'all back in 2024. Yes, sir.